Hello, I'm Samir Akarioh, developer advocate at Gatling, and today we will see how to maximize optimization of your application with load testing thanks to Gatling. So first, why we need a load testing. So right now we have big firm which was down because of some events. So for example, ChatGPT in OpenAI, Microsoft Search, also Chicken Master, which is a lot of time down because of big ticket sales like Oasis or Taylor Swift, for example. And also, if you have an e-commerce website and you launch a new project, for example, a new iPhone, Apple India was down. Also, workload testing is important because thanks to two studies, we see that the highest conversion rate in e-commerce occur on page reload test between 0 and 2 seconds. Because the thing is, right now we have a lot of competitors in the e-commerce sector. For example, I'm on Amazon. I will not wait for the page to load like 5 seconds. I will just go to eBay or AliExpress. And also, the bounce probability increased by 32% with page load time increased from 1 to 3 seconds. So, for example, if you want to keep your user, your web page, your website, and web page need to be pretty fast to load. So, what is the testing? So, typically, this was in French. Yes, I'm French. I don't know if you hear by my accent, but this is our train. A lot of time, it's what we experience. And it's an analogy between load testing and the real life. Because load testing is typically you will send a lot of user and seeing when the application will crash. So what is load testing? So load testing is part of non-functional testing and performance testing. And inside of it, you have two branches. You have web performance and you have load testing. Load testing is typically we monitor when you have between the backend and the computer. It's only the network request. And after you have the monitoring part between Dynatrace, Datadog, or APM tool. So first you have a multiple way of doing load test. The first one is capacity test. Is typically when you go have 5 user, you add 5 user every 10 seconds, for example. It's permit to you see where your application breaking point is and the maximum capacity. After that, you have stress test. So stress test is you will send, I don't know, for example, you pass on TV, you will send 1 million user at one time, and you will see if you can handle this traffic. And soak test is a capacity test, but at a constant rate, and it's permitted to see if you have, I don't know, like memory leak or some issue when you have a lot of user in a long time. So now I will do a demo time. I hope that anything will break. So I have a small React API. So this title is in French, but typically the user interface. I can add a new user called, for example, Samir, called Conf. I can delete it, pretty easy. I can edit, not on this page, but on the API, I can directly edit. And now I will show you the Gatling script. So typically it's some JavaScript because we have in Java and other language, but right now this is typically JavaScript code. So what we do is import all the library from Gatling curl and Gatling HTTP. We create a simulation, and here it's like a simulation is typically the recipe of a dishes is what step Gatling will do in order to load test your application. So first, Gatling will connect to the sorry to my API, so localhost 5000 slash API with a good other user agent and access headers. Here, it will check the endpoint slash users and check if everything is good. So if status is 200. After that, we will create a new user. So thanks to post, we will send a JSON file to say, okay, the name of the new user will be a random UID. And we check if all was good. So 201, we get, and here's the exciting part because you can each user you will send to your website, we have an independent session. So in this session, you can save a lot of things. For example, me, I save the user ID and the username that I can use after in my session, in my script. So after that, I just get the information of this user. So thanks to user ID that I save into my session, I check if it's a name, same username, and I check the status. I do the same thing with edit, and I delete the user and I check the thing. Here I create my scenario. I say that my scenario first will get the user, after add the user, get the user, edit, and delete. And here I need you to do multiple things. First, I didn't do this on my simulation, but you can do assertion. You can say that I want my simulation to have less than 20% of error, for example, or you have each request I want 10% of error. You can also say how you want to inject the users. For example, on my simulation, I would say so no user for 1 minute. After that, I send a lot of user at one time. After I wait, I do a capacity test, I wait, and I do a sock test. So now, in order to learn the simulation, you just need to do npx run Gatling. Yes, sorry, I was not in the good folder. So npm. So, oh no, was it the good one? npx Gatling run, sorry. So now this file will be converted thanks to GraalVM and the simulation is running. I will not wait for this simulation to finish because it will take 3 minutes. So I already have the file. So here it's what you will have after the simulation is finished. Sorry, I will just stop. So typically you have a big summary of the simulation. For example, I see that some requests fail, some requests are pretty good. Also, I have my Gatling version. And also I have a lot of information. I can see the minimum of response time, the percentile of response time, the maximum, and the mean. For example, I see that one request take 1 second, effectively 1 second. I can see all the error I have. So for example, I see that my check are pretty failing because I don't have concurrency. I don't have concurrency in my API, so I need to implement this. Also, I see that I found uh, 4044 errors, but me, I needed to have 200. And also, what is pretty good with Gatling, it's you can also see in details. For example, right now, okay, I see that I have file requests, but where are they? I can directly say here, where are they? But I can also go directly into details. I see that it's not on get all user, not here. On get all user, I see that I have a lot of error, also this error. And I can also see on the right the same information, but only for get users. For example, the response time range, etc. But right now, you will tell me, okay, I have this on my computer, but now I want to add this into my CI because I don't want to, each time I have a pull request, clone the pull request, my API, and test with Gatling. I want this to be directly integrated to my CI. And I will say, we have a solution at Gatling. So at Gatling, we built what we call Gatling Enterprise. And if I go on integration, you can see that we have a lot of integration with CI/CD tool, Jenkins, GitLab CI, GitHub Action, blah, blah, blah. Also with APM tool like Data Trace, you can send notification with Slack and Microsoft Teams. So to do it, what you can do, I will just stop it, is typically when Gatling price package, it will create on target a package.zip. After that, you will need to create a simulation, import your package, and uh, configure the simulation. I already have one, so I will just take this. After that, you just need to, just for after, but copy the simulation ID. And if I show you the workflow, it's typically a really simple workflow. Is typically what we do is asking the simulation ID from the users. You can directly put it as a secret or just directly into your file. And after we launch a simulation on Gatling, thanks to Gatling Enterprise Action. So now if I run simulation, I will just simulation ID, run workflow, refresh. So now GitHub will wait for a runner to be available. So here we see that the runner is available. Well, now we're just running a new version, and now it's building. And now we see that we have a new simulation running. So now what the simulation will do is getting the static equalizer, the load tester, the load generator, sorry, and launch the load simulator, the load and doing the simulation. But we don't have really time to wait for it to finish. So I will just take the previous one, this one, sorry, but this one, and we see that we have a better view of our simulation because we have a summary of the simulation. It can be shown to business side or to some developers in order to get a light view of the simulation because we have the error ratio, we have the total of requests, we have the number of maximal concurrent virtual users, and we have the error. Also on the report, we have a lot of information. We can see the request timeline. We can see the number of requests and requests per second typically. So the number of requests, the one which was okay, the one which was KO. You can filter. Also the response by the response by second by status. You can say, okay, I want only the 201. And the pretty good thing also with Gatling Enterprise is typically that you can generate a load everywhere in the world. So typically is AWS region, but for example, you are an e-commerce website and you want to load test, uh, you want to have people coming into your website from Sydney and Paris and United States, you can easily do it with Gatling Enterprise. Because with Gatling open source, you will need to have servers in multiple places and doing a lot of research and development in order to do what Gatling Enterprise does. So now, if I go back to my presentation, you can support us by joining our community. So on community.gatling.io, you can start us on GitHub on Gatling/Gatling, and you can try and test Gatling Enterprise. Thanks you for your time. Also, you can scan my QR code. You will see a lot of things. You will see office hours, our recording of the webinar with Gatling and Test Container, and also my LinkedIn and GitHub.